Hello and welcome. I'm Jenny Hall. Thanks for joining me for another card making tutorial. Today we're going to create a faux foiled background. We'll be foiling with a laminator to get a tone-on-tone look. You could use just about any kind of foil with this, and it lends beautiful background results. We're going to use Altenew's Grateful Heart stamp set. This is a beautiful stamp set that has accompanying dies, and there are outline images as well as the layered images. We'll start off today by creating our background. I've taken a panel of 110-pound Neenah Classic Crest Solar White, and I've treated it with an anti-static tool. Now I'm stamping with embossing ink that outline image. It's a floral cluster, so this will be little clusters of flowers. And now I'm adding some clear embossing powder. The clear embossing powder is what is going to get the foil to stick to the cardstock. So we're going to first heat set that and make sure not to overheat it because it could kind of corrode. And then I'm grabbing some We Are Memory Keepers foil. I think you can use any kind of foil for this particular technique. This is just what I found at my local craft store, and it's really beautiful. It's matte pearl, and it's very pretty. So position the foil where the shiny or the iridescent side is facing up, and once your laminator indicator light says ready, then put it inside of a sandwich of parchment paper and run it through a few times. And the foil is going to stick to that embossed area. But what I didn't realize and what I didn't plan for was that it was also going to stamp, or it was going to transfer onto that background cardstock as well. But I'm not going to disregard this project. We're going to finish it and try again. And because there is a residual foil on the actual paper, then I'm stamping my sentiment with Staz-On, which will stamp on just about anything. So here we have a little panel that is going to go onto a card base. This was kind of like a card making fail, but it still looks really, really pretty. And I know that somebody will really enjoy it. So let's try again and get this technique to work exactly the right way. I've already stamped with the embossing ink and put the clear embossing powder on, heat set it, and now I'm treating the paper again with the anti-static bag. This is what makes the difference of the foil only sticking to the laminated items versus the cardstock background. I hope that makes sense. As you could see, I left this in the video so that you would be able to see the difference of laminating and then having it stick to a anti-static treated panel versus skipping that step. So I'm running 2 passes through the laminating machine, and I think you could use any laminating machine with this. I'm using Scotch laminating machine, and this is regular parchment paper that I picked up from the grocery store and I use in my home on a regular basis. So once this comes through the machine on the second pass, then I'm going to remove and discard that piece of foil, and see, it didn't stick to the actual paper. It only stuck to the embossed area. So you can see on the left, that's where I didn't go back and retreat it. And this one on the right, it did retreat. It foiled. It didn't stick. I retreated it. And I got a little piece of something was stuck on there. So now let's give ourselves a focal point for this project. So I'm using some jet black ink, and this is dye ink from Altenew. And we're going to start off this beautiful flower by first stamping the outline. Then I'll use the Cherry Blossom ink collection from Altenew, and these are some of my favorite pinks. They progress in a very beautiful shade of pink from light to dark. So first I'm going to line up that more solid image, and stamp that with pink diamond, which is the lightest in the ink collection. And using the MISTI tool really makes a difference for me for using layered stamps. It just makes everything better. So now I'm using the next color, and you can see the details start to emerge. And then here is that third layer of the layered stamp, and this is going to be the darkest color. You could use even darker colors for this type of image if you like, or you could use lighter colors and then double stamp them to get a more intense color. But check out how beautiful it is. Now I'm going to switch over to the Summer Afternoon ink collection, and this is a collection of yellows that kind of transition into brown. I want to have light shades and some really deep, rich shades of yellow that are going to show up in the 3 different layers that are in the center of the stamp. Yes, there are 3 different layers. So there's quite a bit of stamping on this one little flower, but the end result is just stunning. So this is a beautifully drawn stamp from Altenew. So I'm lining up that third little image, and I'm not sure about you, but sometimes I have trouble getting those little tiny photopolymer stamps to stay in place, that my fingers they don't want to let go of my fingers. So I'm trimming down the background foiled panel to 3 3/4 by 5. So I took off a half an inch on every side. And I'm using a piece of white fun foam that has double-sided tape on. That way I can have a nice, solid, completely firm foundation for this panel. And then some 3M double-sided foam tape for the flower. And here is some dark gray cardstock from Altenew that I'm treating with an anti-static tool, and then stamping with the embossing ink, and then I'll add white embossing powder this time so that I can make my sentiment show up beautifully on this really pretty dark gray cardstock. If you have not tried Altenew cardstock, I would suggest that you give it a try, because I'm really impressed with the way that it holds up. I've trimmed that down, and then I will attach that down to the card base with some Connect glue from Gina K. And this project is part of the Altenew Educator Certification Program that I've been participating in, and I am absolutely loving it. And I'm trying to create a project for every one of the courses that I take so that I can share it with you guys. And this beautiful tone-on-tone background could be done in any color of foil. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, and I hope to see you again soon.